Hello, I'm Kelly Frazier. I hope you're here with Composition 1. The right place is certainly the right time, so let's get started. I emailed you our question of the day. What is the weather like where you are and how does it make you feel? So I'll get started by saying I'm here in North Carolina. The weather is super hot and it makes me feel like I'm going to melt. It's so hot. Okay, let's move on and review from our lesson 1 last week. We talked about pictures in books and photographs. We spent more time on a photograph in the book, but what does it mean to read a picture? So we went over, yes, pictures have a broad story to them and then narrow details, and we can read the picture with all those clues that we get from both the broad and the narrow. And the picture we actually focused on was one of a girl playing a guitar and riding on a skateboard across the street. And that's the broad story of that picture we looked at. Then the narrow details of that picture was, we know that it's warm outside because she has on shorts, and in the background we can see that there are green leaves on the trees. And then the last narrow detail we looked at was the expression on her face. We know that she's at ease and it's a peaceful, easy expression that she has, and so she doesn't have many cares as she's riding along. So we also went further and wondered what was going on. Was she writing a song in her head as she was riding along, or was she going somewhere like to a friend's house to spend a lazy summer afternoon with her friend? So we even went to give a caption of the picture, that it was a picture of a peaceful ride. So that was what we went over last week. I hope you saved your work. Make sure you've got your notebook and you're keeping your work in it. You know where it is, because we're going to reuse or modify that work as we're going along in the course. So we're going to start with lesson 2, which is about what a photojournalist sees. And before we get started with the picture that's shown in our book, I'm going to show you quickly a picture here. And in this picture, you see a young man looking down with a blue wall behind him. That's the broad story of the picture. When we look at the narrow details, we look closer, we see that he is actually looking down and reading a book. We see a bar across him. We know that he's inside, that's through a window. And he has on a jacket, so we know that he's cold somehow. So we look at that picture, we see the broad and the narrow details, but there's a backstory. And the backstory is that it's a picture of that my professional photographer daughter took, Darby Frazier, and she took this picture of her brother, my son, on a day that he was visiting colleges. He is reading inside of a coffee shop, waiting for his family to come. And he did end up picking this college in the mountains, which is why he has on a jacket. So I tell you that backstory because when we go into lesson 2 and start talking about what a photojournalist sees, we actually have a picture that we are analyzing, and the picture is on the cover of a World magazine, one of its issues, and the picture is of a baby. And so when we looked at this picture, we had an assignment with 3 different questions or activities for you to do. So before we start with the very first question, we need to take a short break, and I'll be right back with you in just a moment.